Welcome back to Shy Proceed podcast. I have missed you all dearly. I know you have missed me. I have a great treat for you today. Someone that you need to keep in your mind. Someone that you need to know about, hear about, and talk about. Mr. Elgin Stevens. Who is Elgin Stevens? He is a published author, poet, inspirational, transformational speaker, creative, podcaster, and a blogger. Transformational person. How are you doing, Elgin?
Hey, how's it going? How you doing today?
It's going. I'm so happy that you're here with me today on this
Thanks for
lovely
having
windy day in Texas.
me. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you. So, you're a pretty interesting young fella. You are doing amazing things. You have a great story to tell. And I think everyone can hear your story, feed from your story, and see themselves in who you are. So, Elgin, tell me, who are you?
Well, I'm a young man that came from a broken place. Oftentimes we don't like to portray that. We want to put this image like we're all together, like we have no flaws, like our backgrounds are flawless and everything like that. But for me, I realized that I am a survivor from something that is broken, something that could have went a completely different way had I not decided to try to be the best version of myself.
The best version of you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's lovely. That sounds great in textbook. We're gonna dig a little deeper. You can't give me surface. You can't give me surface. You are a man who is under the age of 40, correct?
Just turned 40 this year, past
Just
May.
turned 40 this year. So
Yeah,
you're a baby at 40. You have had 3 marriages
correct. Correct.
under the age of 40. You have
Yeah,
4 beautiful children.
right.
You have a major influence when it comes to the church in your life and how you decided and did things at young age, right?
Yes, yes, most
Okay,
definitely.
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about one, as a Black man, being aware of your wellness and being aware of your flaws and trying to heal in society. It's not easy. It's not
Not at
easy at
all.
all.
Not at all.
We don't really embrace the Black man as we should. We're doing it more now. Let me not say we're not. We're doing it more now, but we really were not embracing it. So many of us are walking around broken, walking
Right.
around with inherited trauma, walking around with decisions that we've made based on our formative years. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your journey to right now, knowing who you are as a man, knowing who Elgin is, and
Right.
now speaking on that. Let's go down a journey of your wellness, starting with teenage years, starting
Woo.
with family. Starting with family. So talk to me about that. Talk to me when you realize that this life that I'm living is not the healthiest for me.
Well, I guess coming up, I'm the second oldest of four. My mom was on drugs. My mom was literally a crackhead, right? And so I think for me, I'm a person who never got that love from mom. So if there's a love tank that every child should have that can be filled, I think I didn't get that opportunity to have my love tank filled. And so I think that put me on a trajectory of trying to find a belonging because with my mom's addiction, it also kept us very sheltered. So we couldn't do things. We couldn't go anywhere. We was just kind of stuck in this house. And I think that's kind of a testament to her sickness. But I can remember there was this one time that I couldn't understand how to do my homework. And I asked her for help. And she literally beat me because I didn't know how to do my work, didn't know how to do my schoolwork. So that taught me to be very quiet, don't shine too brightly, don't try to ask questions if you don't know what's going on. Just kind of put your head down, go along to get along. And I think that was the thing that I carried through the majority of my young adult life. So when we got taken in foster care, no one ever said, my mom never hugged me, never kissed me, never told me she loved me. We couldn't even, I remember we couldn't sit on her bed. We could barely go in her room. And so for me, all I wanted was the love of my mom. I just want to be enough. Can you see me? And I didn't get that. So what I discovered is her issues were drugs. My issue was trying to capture the love that I didn't get from her. And so it resulted in getting married 3 times and having 4 kids. Um, it wasn't until about marriage number 2 that I realized that there are some things that I have to get together within myself. I started going to counseling, and one of the something that the therapist really opened up for me was the fact that I didn't realize that you can literally grieve a person that's still alive. And for me, my biggest source of grief was my mom. And that was something that I never paid much attention to. I just thought that I was this person that had survived this horrific experience, and I'm just trying to find my place in life as a man, as someone who seeks to be in a relationship, as someone who needs identity. I didn't see myself as a man till I got about 35. So from that whole time, I was searching. Didn't have any male role models in my life, so I didn't know what this ideal of manhood was. In fact, it was very hard for me to fellowship with other men because I had very little tolerance for a man talking to me any kind of way. And that's because I was never disciplined by a man. And
Let me
so
ask you
when I,
something really quick. Let me
Mhm.
let me pause you real fast
Oh
because
yeah,
that's really interesting. Um, so your mother suffered from addiction,
right.
which clearly that means you suffered from it as well because you were growing in the household. And so her addiction became your addiction. Not that you're the one doing the same,
Yeah,
but
most definitely.
it's the what comes along with it, right?
Yes.
And so you said that your mom, you never heard your mom tell you that she loved you. And maybe you didn't feel it as well. The words were not there, but you also didn't feel the love,
Most
correct?
definitely. Correct.
So, at how young were you when you started seeking out the attention of women to validate what love is for you or was for
Mm.
you?
Wow, that's a great question. One of the greatest memories that I can remember, and I hadn't thought about this in years. I had to be in about maybe the 5th grade, and I can remember uh, about the 5th grade, and I can remember literally wanting a young lady's attention so badly that I would expose myself, like show my body to people and to
Mm,
women in class. What girls? We're all in the 5th grade, 4th, 5th grade. And to get that attention, to get that longing. And I haven't mentioned this to anybody. I
mhm.
hadn't thought about this in years, in fact. And so I think that was the beginning part. I can remember growing up, everybody played house. Everybody, you mama, daddy, kids, and all of that. Go get it. You know, we played those kind of games in elementary. I hope
Yeah,
that's not too raw,
you're
you know.
good. You're good.
And so, 4th, 5th grade,
So
I
you were
could,
never taught the boundaries of proper, improper interactions with young
no,
adults,
man.
people of your peers. So you were just do you feel it was things that you saw that you don't in the subconsciously did you see these things where those improper interactions in front of you that was way too grown for you to see? Because many times kids mimic what they see.
The only other time that I ever seen a naked body was actually my mom was having a fight with her boyfriend, and he was trying to slit her throat, and they were on the bed wrestling, and they both was nude. And I think that was so filled with trauma, I couldn't really realize the magnitude of what was happening. But that was the very first time that I ever seen someone completely nude. And
Mm.
so it was kind of wrapped around trauma and things like that. Outside of that, I don't think I ever seen too much nudity and things of that nature. Not at that young of an age.
So you are a young man. There isn't a father figure, mentor, anything in your life
Not at
that
all.
you're that you can really grasp onto. Your mother clearly at that time was not able to be a mother for you. Are you the only child?
It's four of us. So I'm the second oldest. So I have an older sister, a younger brother, and a younger sister.
And you travel down this road of seeking love and affection in all the wrong ways.
Most
So how
definitely.
old were you when you first got married?
First got married at 22, 22
And how
years old.
long were you with her before you got married to her?
Oh my God. We knew each other about 3 weeks. 3 weeks and we got
Okay.
married. Um, yeah. Who does that, right?
A lot
But
of
I
people
know.
do. A lot of people do.
Yeah, I did that at about 22.
And how long were you
That was the
married to
first.
her?
We were married for a very short time. So before that, I had just had a son. So my first son was born around like 21, maybe. And this individual I really cared about. I really wanted my relationship with her to be like lifelong. And we wasn't good for each other at all. But
Mhm.
there was something about her that I really, really liked. And we had a son, and I thought that my son would keep us together. I thought the fact that we had a child together, that was it. You know what I'm saying? I never wanted to be an absent father. I never wanted to have a whole bunch of children or nothing like that. And so when she and I created our son, I thought that he would be the bond that holds us together, but he wasn't. And so uh, my son was probably about 8 months, and that's when I met the first young lady that I married. So I just had this kid out of wedlock. So you know where we were now. We started using terms like wedlock.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there.
so you know, I meet this woman, and I'm in college at the time. And actually, it was a group of us. We were all Christians trying to live for God, trying to do the best we knew how to do at that time. And so uh, went to her house for like this group prayer meeting and everything. And the crazy thing is, I didn't really even want to talk to her. I'd seen somebody else at the prayer meeting that I really liked, and I called her. I called her because I knew that she knew the girl that was there. But we started talking and never got there. And so
Mhm.
I was thinking, for me, this is nothing like my baby mama scenario.
Mhm.
And for 3 weeks, we were completely platonic. We reading the Bible together, praying, working out, all of that good stuff, right? And
Mhm.
so one day we were at her apartment and we was like play wrestling. and
Okay,
the
okay, Elgin, stop. Let's pause. Okay, I want you to pause, okay? Because we
okay,
real grown out here. We real grown on this. On we real grown, okay?
yeah, yeah.
Um, okay. So this person that you didn't even think about like that, all of a sudden
Mhm.
you hop from want to talk to somebody else. You didn't even see her like this, and now you play wrestling
Yeah, so this is over a couple of weeks. So we started talking. We were spending a lot of time together, like
and y'all play
almost
wrestling.
so we was play wrestling. We started like just wrestling around, and we ended up
Mhm.
having sex, prayed for 5 minutes, and got married the very next day.
Y'all
That's how
prayed
that went down.
after sex?
We had a 5 minute prayer. Father, forgive us. And
Okay, so you already had a baby. You already had a child. He's already having sex outside of wedlock.
too late.
Had a
Hey,
whole baby. Had a whole
I'm
child.
trying to, I'm trying to fix. I'm trying to
So what's
fix
your
it. Or
background? What is your religious denomination? What is it?
well, growing up, I never had to go to church. First of all, and so at this time, I was going to a local church there in Beaumont. It was a Baptist church. Wait, no, I had just before then. I was kind of in the non-denominational faith, right? And so
Okay.
for me, I really love God, but I really struggle with this sex thing at the same time.
The flesh is weak. Okay.
Oh my God, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is so weak. And so I felt so bad because on one hand, I want to try to live this Christian life, But on the other hand, I'm struggling with getting it in. And I'm just like, look here, man, I need
Yeah.
help with it. And so, when you're younger, you're full of zeal and you hear people talking about, oh, sinning. And for me, when I hear the word sin, I'm thinking about, I'm getting it in. So I'm like, I gotta stop getting it in. And I'm thinking, okay, for me and the girl, my first wife, I'm like, we're both Christians. We could get married because God can make me love her. It's better to marry than burn. Now, none of this is the church's fault by any stretch of the imagination. This is just me and my uh, I guess with having any kind of real mentor and just trying to figure it out by myself. Like, this is what I think is the best thing to do in this scenario because
Ask you
it's
real quick. You didn't have
Mhm.
a mentor. How did you end up finding this church? Like, who brought you to this church? Who brought you there? And then who put into your, because you're, from what you're saying, you didn't really have much guidance, right? You
Right,
didn't have much of that, but you did guide yourself in the direction of seeking some type of stability and some type of structure when it came to joining that particular church. And you did have some type of moral compass on
yeah,
what you think, what you felt was right or wrong, or what was taught. What
right.
guided you there? Who guided you there? What was that?
Well,
And how did your mother feel about it and your
well,
siblings?
I think for me, the very first thing by this time, when I was back I'm from Los Angeles, South Central Los Angeles. So we grew up in the hood. And so we moved around a lot. And one time we moved over off of 80th and Vermont. And there was this huge church there that actually I thought was Disneyland. Because back in the day, Mickey Mouse used to be on this ball. And this church was the old Pepperdine University. And the top of their dome, their church looked like this ball that I thought was Disneyland. And so I just decided to just wake up and go over there. And it turned out to be a church. And I just kept going. Um, Nobody stopped me. My mom didn't stop me. Uh, and that is where I think my faith started. And for me, when my mom's drug addiction got really bad, the noise of life kind of drowned out, I guess, the presence of God in my life, or the voice of God, or maybe I wasn't listening. And so by the time I graduated and became an adult, it wasn't until I got about 23, 22, 20, well, about 23, 24 is when I met a mentor. And this guy became like a spiritual father for me. And he really, really helped home in some of those wild or untamed parts of who I was.
Mm.
And so I would have to say, when I got about 23, that's when I really was able to get a very strong mentor that was very prevalent in my life for about
And which
eight.
is great, because so many young men with your story, because you could have went down a different road.
Right,
Because what I'm really initially getting to ultimately is you could have went down a different path. You could have
right,
been on drugs. You could have been hanging with the wrong crowd, seeking father figures with peers who can't teach you or mentor you. You could have
right.
been, it could have been anything, but yes, you started having sex. Yes, you've been married a few times before a certain age. But that's just what has a lot to do with your environment and not being taught, how to understand urges and understand your body. That
Yeah,
came later. And
yeah,
unfortunately, when you are lacking love in your life and lacking affection, is what I
right,
want to say. Physical touch is very important.
right.
When you have children, as you know, it's that first bond of that contact. Feeling the love is one thing. Saying it is one thing, but when you feel it,
Yeah,
someone may have never heard the words, but you felt it and you
right,
knew it, right?
right.
But if you never had that, you don't understand what to do with your emotions, because it's already there, it's already in you, right?
Yeah,
But you don't know. So you don't understand what affection may be with siblings and parents and family, and what it may be intimately with someone else outside of that realm. You know what I mean? And sex
Right.
is a urge we've all have very, very young. When you touch your body, trying to figure out what is this, you're already and you're there's sensation, you know. So
Right.
I commend you for, and I think the great part of your story is we all can go down a different path.
Right.
You know, we can all be in the exact same household, have the exact same parents, same situation, but our experience is different.
Right. You
And
better
either
say
you
that.
go down the road of rebellion, I don't care, I'm going to do what you do so you can try to see me, to be noticed, or you try to seek out, I don't know, I want affection, I want love, and you already know that's not what you want to do, so you do it in another way. Unfortunately, your acting out was in a sexual way, and then you had this whole I shouldn't be doing it, and so let me marry you. So let me ask you a question.
Shoot.
You found your mentor great at the age 22, 23. You're already married.
Right.
You're already a father, so that's responsibility. So that you have to grow up because you know you're a dad.
Right.
So that play wrestling, listen, you're a father. I don't know what you're doing play wrestling. Okay, but we gonna leave that alone. There's no judgment here, but I'm
Woo.
judging you.
Yeah.
So do you have a child with your first wife?
Every woman I married, I have a kid with. So yeah. So I do. Yeah,
How long
So
were you married to
so
her?
we were the crazy thing is, so with me and this woman, we got married right away because we had sex. We didn't have sex after we got married for at least 3 weeks. We got married about 3 days before Hurricane Rita. And so we was going through the whole evacuation thing, and then we were dealing with a lot because she was like the baby girl out of like 7 kids. And so when we finally got to meet up with their family, they was like, hold up, who this dude? So, it's like, what you did to our daughter and our sister and all of this.
How old was she when you got married to her?
We were about 22. We was about
Okay.
22. And so we didn't have time to have sex for at least 3 weeks. And so she ended up getting pregnant at some point during the storm. And so when we came back, like it was for me, it was done. It was a wrap. I was like, oh no, this is when we was going up to try to get to Dallas, it took us 19 hours to get from
Yep.
Beaumont to Dallas. And that was
Mm-hmm.
the longest time I had ever spent with her. And it helped me. That was like, oh no, I made a huge mistake. This is crazy. And so then we added all of the drama of the evacuation. And so about time we finally got back to Beaumont, in my mind, the marriage was over. However, she got pregnant. So of course we had 9 months. And the funny thing is when I thought my first son would keep us together, my second son had no the his birth into this world had no bearing on me staying with his mom whatsoever. And so when we came back, we were separate. We lived in different homes. We try to, when you in church, they ain't gonna nobody gonna be like, get divorced, so they'll try to, you know, work with you a little bit, but I wasn't trying to hear it. I'm like, oh no, I'm out of here. And so I still had that running in me. So growing up, with just my mom addiction, we moved around a whole bunch. So I was a good runner. I knew how to run. And so, that I was in full flight mode at this time. So it's like I'm just here. And then I was still in love with my oldest son's mom, my baby's mother, the one that I didn't marry. I was very much still in love with her.
So let me
And
ask you
so,
a real quick question
mhm,
before you go further, because this is a journey into who you are today.
it's a lot.
Oh, it's okay. It's fine. Hey, we talking, but it's a journey into who you are today.
Right.
Looking back at that situation, the two situations, okay? One, were you really in love with your first child's mom? And two, when have you taken responsibility in why the first marriage broke up? Because you
You know,
just said I was in love with my son's mom, my first son's mom still. So clearly you were in a manic state, in my opinion. I'm not a medical professional, but you're in a
Yeah.
manic state. And so no matter what she did, she was not going to be the one for you.
No, I think I was just trying to correct this problem I thought I had, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so, I think thinking back, I was so broken. I was trying to build and gather all of these pieces and put them into this vessel that's broken and cracked. And so, this is before I start going to counseling, but therapy and all of that. So I was trying to gather all of these pieces that I thought would give me belonging, identity, meaning, and purpose in life. Every person that I married, I thought that if this woman loves me, then that means my life is not a mistake, that I must belong, that there is something special about me. I didn't see none of that in myself. I thought that it had to come from another individual. And so that brokenness just attracted a certain type of person. I believe that energies connect, and sometimes, it's kind of like if you meet somebody and they are codependent, and so they need you to struggle so that they can feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And every person that I married was that kind of energy for me. So I still had, and it went back to my mom needing to see me. Am I enough? Can I do these things so that you can love your son? You got a whole son over here. And so the women that I married was that same trajectory. Like, hey, I need to work extra hard so that you could see that I'm special, that I'm, whatever, just love me,
Are
you
you
know.
sure though? Are you sure? Okay, so hey, are you sure it was them and not you
No, it was me 100%.
overdoing? Because when you're trying to seek anything, validation,
Yeah, it was
right?
all me.
Yeah,
It was all me.
you're going to find someone who, so you're either, when you're seeking validation, I think we've all been guilty of this at some point in time in our relationship journeys. Um, we tend to go after, in our relationships, the person who either loved us the least. That's who you're attracted to. So if
Mm,
you have a mom or dad who is quiet, you don't know what they want, you don't know how they feel about you. You date with someone who you're like, I don't know what they think, so I have to try to earn it. And if I earn it, I've won. I've gotten something from it, right?
right.
And many times when you are lacking in that area, you go after the unobtainable, you think, and when you get it, then you lose the interest because
Mm.
not feeling anything. How have your siblings felt about this? What has
You
been, I mean, I know it's their story and we're not going to discuss their journey, but has there been a difference in how all of you have handled that situation, or are y'all all
to
pretty
be
the same?
to be honest, we are all like my brother. I haven't talked to my brother in over 20 years. We're not close. My family ties are not close. So I've always seemed like I've been solo dolo,
Mhm.
So this we got taken to foster care, and so that kind of put us in some places to where, we were like it we just don't have that relationship. So no matter how bad you may want it, I communicate with my oldest sister a lot, mostly through text and things like that. But my younger brother and sister, like, we have no bearing on, like, any kind of relationship. And that's kind of
That's sad.
sad. You don't want that to happen, but the more it's just like, for me, it's like that's life, because we've been so long apart. Like, there is no, oh, let me call my brother and all of that. So it's been so long like that it's kind of become a little normal. So I don't even think there's not even a thought, as they don't probably know the story. My None of my kids have met any of my siblings. So it's, yeah, we just don't have that.
Which is interesting. So that's still an area that you're healing in, obviously.
Yeah.
So you're 2 children down,
Mm,
1
yeah,
marriage down.
yeah, two boys.
Marriage number 2, what age?
Marriage number two, I had to be, so this was probably like 2 years later. I was probably like 25, 26. So
What about her? Where'd you meet her? And what about her?
church,
And how long? Church. Okay.
met her at church. We dated for about um maybe 3 or 4 months, something like that. And we
Mm-hmm.
got married. Um, we were we were shacking up. For those who don't know what shacking up is, we were cohabitating, and I was actually about to become a licensed minister. So for me, I was like, I can't be a shacking preacher. Let's go ahead and get married. So within the church realm, women are and men are attracted to people. When everybody always say, hey, you want to find a good woman, want to find a good man, go to church,
Right.
right? So then
Yeah.
you go to church. I ain't saying I'm all that, but I think I do okay. So you see a guy that really loves God, that's serving, is a level of attraction that comes with that. And so if you don't want to be out here and be a Pentecostal pimp, just kind of, if you don't want that to happen,
Right.
you might want to just go and settle that thing down a little bit, go and get married. That's what I was thinking at the time.
But the sad thing is this, though. There's so much brokenness.
Oh, yeah, most
Because
definitely.
if I had met you and you was already 1 marriage down before the age of 25 and 2 kids down, listen, you can be the best in the pulpit. Okay. Um,
Oh, man.
you a
But
red flag
people are
walk, in
selfish.
my opinion.
Yeah. People are selfish, though. They want what they want when they want it.
I'm glad you said it. I'm
Yeah.
glad you said it. Because the
Mhm.
sad thing is, as much as you felt you needed to seek validation and love, there's going to be people who like, I can probably fix him.
Oh, most definitely, 100. Or they gonna fall in love with the potential, or they gonna be like, oh, the
Yeah.
drive, or all of these externals that'll be like, you know what, we gonna go with it. And so,
Right. Right.
but at that time in my life, that's just where I was. The second marriage, though, we rocked it out for about 4 years. Now, for this
Okay.
time, I bent till I was broken, and it still wasn't enough for this marriage. I really put in a lot of work. I really tried my best because I didn't want any more broken families. So, by this time, you start dealing with child support. You start dealing with weekends or not seeing them or seeing the kids or not being able to or beefing with the mothers and everybody's still young. So we're still trying to figure this part out. And so, you know, by the time I got married the second time, I didn't want any more brokenness. So I really put forth an extreme effort to really make this thing work. And so that's when I started putting myself through therapy to make Elgin better, because I knew that people that I never would meet, meaning generations, my seed, will either benefit or be broken because of me. And
Mm-hmm.
so I wanted to try to become the best part of who I can be. Let me address this pain. Let me address these issues, the underlying issues. Let me do the root work to what's wrong with Elgin. Let me do the work to why am I doing this? Why am I responding this way? Why do I think that I need a woman to be validated? Why do I think that I need someone else to validate me? Why do I think that if somebody else believes in me, then I can do X, Y, and Z? Because
Mm-hmm.
up to this point, I thought all I was made for was a struggle. I was made
Right.
to
Right.
struggle to be a husband, struggle to be in my kids' life, struggle to pay child support, struggle to have a something as simple as a new car. And so why do I feel that way? What happened in my life that got me to the point that made me believe that I had to have this life of struggle? So I had to really address those issues. I had to really look myself dead in the face and ask those tough questions. And
Absolutely.
give up that victim mentality. Give up that, oh, woe is me and nobody. Okay, Elgin, you hurt some people as well. So what or is it about you that you're going to get together, that you're going to work on and focus on, and when nobody else is around, when you're sitting on the side of your bed at night and you can't hide, you can't run, you can't pretend, you can't preach, you can't serve your way out of this, uh, that's where the nitty gritty, that's where the rubber meets the road. And so those are very uncomfortable moments. And it's a,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When healing is uncomfortable,
oh, most definitely.
healing is
That's why
because,
we avoid it.
oh, absolutely. When you have to heal, and at a certain point, you can no longer blame your mom or your upbringing, right? It's like at a certain point, you made those decisions on your own to get married. Not
Right.
one, but two. You made a choice to have a one child out of wedlock, and you knew you didn't feel right about it. So
Yeah.
then you just marry somebody on the high of somebody else don't want me. Let me marry someone.
Oh, I'm
And
thinking
then
I can
you're
fix this.
leaving,
Ooh, I messed up here. Let me
yeah.
fix
So you're
this.
leaving wreckage behind you. It's just a trail of wreckage. So let me ask you really quickly. During that time, so now you have 3 children.
I have two. I'm about to have three because me and her, after we be married about a year, we have a daughter, Deasia.
Okay. So what's the relationship right now with your sons? Before
Man,
you're
it's
married
nice.
now, you're in your second marriage. You have 2 boys, 2
Two
young
boys.
men.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So one from a out of wedlock, like you say. The other one, some shotgun situation, right?
Yeah.
So what's happening because you're struggling, you're battling, you are now married to a woman who has to also now deal with your wreckage. So let me
Right.
ask you, what is the relationship going on with your sons at this time?
It's very few and far between, if I were just to be honest. Um, at this point, my first wife doesn't want anything because I did my first wife wrong. I told this woman that I was in love with the baby mama. Like I cheated on her with my baby mom. Like just
Oh.
so those parts were things that, ooh, she wasn't just letting go. Just and nor should she, And so that made it more. That put a strain on my relationship with my sons. It's not her fault. I take full responsibility of everything that conspire between me, my kids, every marriage, and all of that. I take the burden of carrying it all on me. So I know that it takes two to tango, and it could be I could say, oh well, she did this and they did this and blah 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 blah. I could point out so many reasons, and I used to keep all of these little so I could say, oh, you know what, you're right. You did try this. You did do this. It ain't your fault. But you know what? I think the hardest thing to do is say, I'm going to accept full responsibility for all of it, all of the brokenness, all of the pain, the trail of pain that's behind. And so one day I will have to answer for that. And so even today, my relationship with my kids are not what I would love them to be. And that's one of the saddest parts of my life. Sometimes when you say, man, what do you feel like the greatest thing that you failed or failed in? I don't believe that there are these deadbeat dads out there that don't care or don't give a flip about their kids, because when you are alone, the fact that you have a seed out there is going to affect you at some point, even if you think about it for a brief moment. And so I'm in a part of my life now where I'm waiting for the opportunity to be allowed to be able to, it may not even mend, and I don't know what it will do for my children. And that's a part that is very, very heartbreaking.
That journey is still going on, right?
Oh, most definitely. Because the oldest is 16 now. And so it is very, very, it's a painful, it's a deep hurt. But, you know, you just wait for the opportunity. I'm waiting for the opportunity to be able to answer some things for them. And
So now we are marriage number 2, little
right,
girl on the way, which is
right,
your longest marriage so far, your longest relationship, because
right,
it's 4 years. It
right,
dissolves because you started healing, you started going to therapy, figuring out, what am I doing wrong? What's going on with me?
right, right.
So we divorce.
We get divorced. So then we go to number three. So
How
what was
old you
so
got married? What was the age of you getting married to number three?
so all of this process was like a 10-year process, 22 to 32. So we coming up on the last marriage, the last kid. So I was probably about 31-ish, somewhere in there. 30, 31.
When you got
Maybe
married.
about the kids 32, because I think it was like every year and a half I was getting married again. And so still trying to fix things, still trying to, okay, believing in love and believing in the opportunity. Okay, well, I want to right my wrongs and all of this. And you can't do that with other individuals. You can't do it with other people's kids. I've been in situations where, I try to do all of this stuff for someone else's kids to try to make up for what I didn't do or couldn't be or wasn't there for my kids. And you can't vicariously live through somebody else's
No,
experience
that
to
gonna
try to
cause more
make.
problems.
Yeah, most definitely. So I had to learn that. Can't do it. No matter how much you may desire to, no
Hmm.
matter how much you may put that effort for it, it's still not going to count for what is left behind.
So you're married for a third time.
Married for the third time.
How
And
long
so,
were how long was that marriage?
ooh, it was a short. Uh, we got married about 2 months in. Uh, so right after our son was born, we was pretty much divorced. So that wasn't even we wasn't married a good year. We wasn't even married a good 6 months.
Let me
Uh,
ask you a question. So what and it's not their concern, but once you have children with someone, who you bring into your child's life is important. You know what I
right.
mean? What are the mothers of your children saying as you get married every year and a half?
They ain't tripping, really. The crazy thing is, we per se, and it may sound crazy,
Hmm.
I don't necessarily have a bad relationship with their mother, like my kids' mom, even though they may not want me around, or they may not, or they may, I wouldn't even say that. I'm not going to say they don't want me around. The fact that my relationship with my kids are not as strong does not take away from the fact that they are like, they all are moved on with their lives. So all of them except one are remarried. So it's like this blended family thing. None of them they don't beef with each other. They don't, you know, two of them may be closer than the other two, or
So
sometimes
they
three
make
of
sure
them.
they make sure the kids have a relationship with each other. So they make sure the
Sometimes,
siblings.
yeah. So
Okay, well
maybe
that's
three
good.
of them
That's
is
good.
better than one, or it's like, they've been really great. Like all of my kids' mom has been very, very, very good. Even though we may not mesh well, but they pretty much, like, okay, well, I don't know, they could have been much meaner. They could have been much more strict. Um, but I would have to give it to them and say that they've been very amazing. And especially once we got past all of that young stuff,
Hmm.
um, they've been very fair. I can't say anything wrong against any of them, even though, yeah, I would never say anything wrong against any of my kids' mom.
So
They've been
let's
very
let's
fair.
let's discuss your journey because that is really important to get to where you are now,
Right,
a motivational speaker. You are speaking internationally. You have written a book. You have
right.
a testimony. Absolutely. And so you're under the age of 40. You have survived a lot to grow up in a household of addiction and to come out of it you're scathed. You know what I mean? You have there's some
There's a
scarring.
revenue there. Oh,
But,
Lord.
but the thing is, you recognize a lot sooner than the other people were able to in your 20s that I need help. You
Right,
recognize that I need guidance when you got your mentor at 23. You recognize that I want love. So you recognize a lot. You didn't go about things the best way possible.
Right.
And we shouldn't beat you up for that, because everyone's story, there's someone who's going to relate to you. There's going to be
That
more
path
than one
is your
person who's going
path.
to be like, wow, that's my story. Or
Right.
wow, I wish I went that route and not the other route. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you could have been addicted to something.
Right.
But I think your addiction is love and affection, unfortunately. It's the longest now you've been single, right?
Yes. So,
Amen. It's probably
yeah,
was prescribed
yeah.
from your therapist. Don't stop.
It's like, ooh, where she at? She might not never come. I'm like, oh Lord, I'm gonna be out here chasing
Because
these
you're
young
not healed yet.
Thundercats.
You're not healed yet. Here's the thing. You have no idea what it is like to live your life as Elgin Stevens.
Right.
You do not know what it's like. Even though you've been single now since about 33, right? You still do
Well,
not you're not comfortable yet
mm,
in your own peace. And until
right.
you are comfortable in your own peace, you are
Mm,
going to repel who is for you.
wow. Dang, that's kind of deep because for me, I'd be like, um, I deal with singleness, but I don't like singleness. I'm just like, I'll handle it. But if I had to, so I'm not really. Yeah, that's a great point
Yeah.
there.
Because
I'm gonna put that one in the
you're
arsenal.
a walking story,
Yeah.
right? And the fear that many may have with you is because right now so many of us are on the journey of let me get me right.
Mm.
You know, it's unfair to bring my foolishness onto you. You know,
And the crazy part is, so my last marriage was 10 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So the crazy part is the healing journey is a lifelong. There is
Absolutely.
no uh, quick fix to it. There's no like, okay, 6 months, I'm ready to go. You hear these people like, oh yeah, I'm waiting for my husband, my wife. I'm gonna spend if you spend 6 months, 6 years preparing you, if you're gonna stay with your spouse for longer than 6 years, if you not gonna die after year six, 6 years of separation with yourself does not prepare you for a lifelong journey with another individual, because even though you're going through your healing process, you're still evolving and changing. And so we don't arrive as quickly as we think we ought to. I talk to people in there. I talked to this gentleman at 75, and there is still development factors at 75. So, I think this notion of us finally arriving,
Mhm.
if you don't get it at 75, I don't know what to say.
Well, it's not even that. You know, we lie to ourselves daily
Most
about
definitely.
how healed we are. We lie to ourselves daily about what we want and what
Right.
we really need. And the reality is this: it's okay to be in a relationship where someone doesn't need you, but I want you.
Right.
It's
Give
okay
me
to be
that
in a
all day.
relationship. Yeah, it's okay to be in a relationship where
Yeah.
you're not seeking to be fixed or fix someone else.
Right.
And so once you are comfortable, and you have to be comfortable with your story and realize that this is my story and everyone may not like it, and be okay when they don't like it, because that just means they weren't for you.
Right.
Comfortable with, okay, what is love to me? Because you don't know what love is.
Mm,
So you have to figure, once you have gone through your therapy and your journey and you're talking to yourself and the ugly of it, the ugly cry, the
yeah.
ugly moment. And the thing is, no one has to know this. This is just between you and God and yourself. It's no one's
Right. Right.
business. But once you stop lying to yourself about what it is and why you're doing it,
Right.
then you will attract. You already attract positive energy. You already attract certain things. But see, right now you're walking in the mindset of healing others, right? But you're still on your healing journey.
Right.
So you can give your story and give people hope, but until you are comfortable with your own silence, your own peace, comfortable with, you know what? My mom was addicted to drugs. Okay. I don't because you have left behind broken relationships. Your household was broken. You have not spoken to your siblings really, right?
Right.
And that's okay, but now it's time to make a new family. It doesn't mean marriage. It could be friendships. It could be whatever it is, but are you able to cultivate those relationships? And that's going to take
Mhm.
time to figure out. You know what
Right.
I mean? And once you figure that out, then you'll be able to pour into someone else's cup of the intimate relationship. So let's discuss something.
Shoot.
You are a poet, you blog, you are telling your story because you are healing. Let's discuss your book, The Bet. What is that? Talk to me about that.
The Bet. So the Bet, the name of the book is The Bet, A Guide to Self-Worth. So basically it admonishes readers to trust and believe in their gifts, talents, and abilities. That use your pain, use your story, use whatever you have to get to that next level. So it's not to say, oh, okay, everybody don't want to be a CEO. Somebody just want to, become a better spouse or become a better individual. So the bet is that story and that part of me that was afraid to bet on me because I didn't think that I could do much without the assistance of someone else supporting me. And so once I realized that, wait a minute, I have everything I need. I just got to take the courage and jump. I got to go out there and lead. Once I found that out, I was like, wait a minute. I need to tell the world about this. Okay, let's use this pain, let's use this story, and let's allow the pain to connect me to purpose. A lot of times people allow pain to make them bitter, or they allow pain to cause them to give up, stop, or my story is too dirty, or I'm too broken, so I can't be used to help, encourage, or lift anybody else. But that's not true. So the bet is about giving people the opportunity to actually get out there and believe, trust, take that leap of faith. Know that, hey, you might not get it the first, second, third, or 50th time, but you gotta keep moving.
Right, right, right. So, um, let's talk about fear.
Okay.
Writing a book is not that easy.
Nah,
It's very exposing
true.
because now you're putting a piece of you permanently out there. You can be a speaker, stand on the stage, talk to me, that's one thing. But once you put the black and white,
Once you write it down.
once you write it out, and you have to say, will anyone, because you seek love,
Mm.
okay? You are a love seeker. How hard for you was it to decide to do this and then not do the beat myself up if anyone's gonna like it? Who gonna like me? Who's gonna
You know
want
what?
to listen to
It's
this?
crazy because I didn't care what people think. Because
Oh,
so now
nice.
here, now let me explain that. Because um, I've been rejected so much, or so many people have walked out my life that it was just like, okay, whatever you think is what you think. It ain't got nothing to do with me. But when I was writing this book, there was chapters that I was literally crying because it took me through some very dark places in life. Like I talk about this in one of the introducing the first chapters. I talk about my mom taking me in a crack house when I was
Mhm.
about 5. And so that part of that story is something that has still kept her and I relationship um, not at its best, because I think maybe so this was my healing process. And so, to be honest, I don't know if she still deals with the sickness and all of that, but for her to know that I put that in there, it really, like, she attacked me as if I was some random dude on the street.
Mhm.
And it was very, very painful, as because for me, I was like, okay, so why did you give me up? I'm thinking in my head, why did you give me up when I was a kid then? So you can use this as an excuse now to be like, I don't want you, Elgin, but what did I do when I was small? And I had to get past that. So I was willing to say, you know what? if this story may help other individuals and what I have suffers from that, then I'm really okay with that because I wish somebody was there
Mm-hmm.
to see me enough to encourage me when I was going through all of that, right? I wish somebody would care enough to stop and see why, right? If they
Right.
would just stop and see, like, hey, I noticed that you're not doing X, Y, and Z. So that's why it was so important to bear my all, to risk it all. Because one thing I've discovered, it's easy to be on the sideline and be like, oh, they should have did this. Oh yeah, you should have went that way. But when you go on the field and you get the ball and you fall, it's completely different than being on the sideline judging and saying, oh well, they should have did this and that. But when you in the game yourself, life takes a new dimension. So
So, who is this book for?
this book is for people who need to find that hope. It's for any person that feels like there's more to life and it's more to for them to do than what they are experiencing. Because at the end of the day, we all have a purpose. We all have something that we can do. Sometimes it's not always in the big masses. Sometimes it's in that small, still opportunity. So it's for people who wake up and they know that it's more like there's something bubbling on the inside that you know that you got to get out, but you don't know how to express it. When you try to explain it to people, they don't understand. And to be honest, you really don't understand it. This book is for those individuals.
I will say this, I just met you. I'm super proud of you for taking hold of your life at a young age in your 20s, realizing, okay, I need to do better. I need to fix some things. And of course, it's a journey, right? It's a bump
It's
along the
gonna
road,
and get back up.
constantly, constantly. But I'm proud of you because there needs to be more men out here telling their story of the stumble, the fall, the hurt, and how they dealt with it and what they're doing to make it better for themselves so they won't
Right.
continue the cycle of damage.
Right.
Um, and I do pray that you mend those relationships with your children and with
Right.
your siblings and your mom. Um, and I hope you realize that closure can be one-sided. You can close your door and have your closure. And you don't have because I'm telling you, you'll never get the response you want to get. You'll never get
Exactly.
the answer you're gonna want to get. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's okay to have closure. It's okay because if you hold on to that, you're not helping your healing.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I
you
mean?
become broken. That's when my mom went through that whole scenario. That's when I decided I'm no longer going to try to make her be what I think she should be.
Right,
And if she decides to be Pluto in my world, meaning some people say Pluto don't even exist anymore, or if
right.
she decides to be the air in my world, meaning the thing I need to live, it's her choice. And I'm no longer going to try to impose my will on her. I think that it's very difficult for humans to not impose their own will on other individuals, no matter what that is. And so when we can learn to allow a person to be without us trying to manipulate them into what we think they should be, man,
It's
that's
gonna
something
be
special.
amazing. Oh yeah, it's gonna be special. I want to
Yeah,
say thank you so very much. Like I said, I'm proud of you for taking hold of your life. I'm proud of you for continuing that journey to heal. I'm proud of you for lending your voice to the world to let others know that you're not alone.
right.
It's all
Thank you.
about representation, right? And we need to have your voice because you are a young black man in this world. You're a man, and very few men speak on their feelings, but you
Mm,
are a black man. And so you went through something, you went through a journey, and you're coming out of it. So I want to say thank you and I appreciate you for doing what you're doing. Make sure everyone gets The Bet. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle and paperback edition. I was reading the reviews and someone said, I'm not one to self-help, but this book truly helped me and motivated me. And I think that's great. We need more books that are transparent, not just a guide. Like, come on now, you still don't give me no dang on guide. Like, it's more than that. It's more like you're actually putting yourself in there. You're in the pages.
Right.
And so that I'm proud of you. Thank you for lending your voice to my platform.
Thank
Hopefully
you for
someone's going to hear and be like, you know what? Let me go on this journey with Elgin. Let me go on this journey.
Yeah. That's the key, man, to help it. We gotta help as many people as we can. And if we're
Yes.
not doing that, nothing that we do matters.
Nothing that we do matters. I want to say thank you so very much. Everyone, please make sure you pick up Elgin's book, The Bet. You can find it on Amazon. The good old, if you got some Prime, you better use it Amazon Prime, baby. You know what I mean? The Bet, a guide to self-worth. Elgin Stevens, thank you so very
Thank
much. You are welcome anytime. You are part of my family now, okay? So you are welcome anytime.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.